Hey, this is Jeff from the Cyber Pro podcast. We're wrapping up our last day of the Pacific Hackers Conference here at Mountain View, California, at the Hacker Dojo. My last guest today is a very interesting individual. His name is Alan. I'll let you talk a little bit about yourself in a second. But one of the things that really piqued our interest was he's running a lock-picking class to the side of where we're recording, and wanted to find out a little bit more about how he arrived there and what it means for these cyber hackers to physically manifest picking a lock and how that affects them psychologically. So with that, Alan, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you currently do.
Okay, well, I have two separate businesses. I manage IT for small and medium businesses, and I also am a general contractor and builder. And so out of that, as a general contractor, I have to be able to get through locks and stuff. Tenants leave, and take the keys with them, and especially in commercial stuff, they don't want the locks torn up, drill them out. But and in IT, my IT business, I need to do some degree of pen testing, and I also need to know what's going on in the whole IT industry. And which, as we discussed earlier, is somewhat similar to the construction, in the sense that it's all about security, whether it's physical or computer security. It's all security
or otherwise. Yeah, and you took the words right out of my mouth, right? Because I was a little bit confused, and Alan was really good in kind of laying it out before we started recording about the connection between the physical locks and the locks that we deal with in cybersecurity, and why it's important that we're able to transpose that skill set from both the physical world to the electronic world. And so he was running a lock picking class where students get to actually physically pick padlocks, and how this physical manipulation of something can be utilized as a skill set when they're doing their work as a cyber professional. Talk to us about that a little bit, where that bridge is from one to the other.
This is my own personal opinion, but I think that the ability, for example, to hack a computer, which we have to do sometimes, we've got a brand new server here, and our sysadmin just quit yesterday. And we don't have anything, can you say,
or we're locked out of everything?
Exactly. Can you save my data and save my company? And so but what we were discussing, we went into a little bit, is that it's also, I think, a psychological power and control thing, where it's like, I can get in where I want to, and I don't have to tell you, so I might someday break into a building or whatever. In the back of their subconscious, in the back of their mind, they're thinking that. I doubt if one guy had his own tools already for the class. 2 sets, no less. But no, because obviously lock picking tools, it's a felony to have them in your possession unless you're appropriately licensed for it.
Right.
And but I doubt, other than a couple people in particular, are probably never ever going to open a lock that they're not supposed to be opening. But just having that ability makes a person feel more powerful
and confident, maybe, right?
And confident. It's kind of like, people that play games on the computer also like to play games in person,
right?
More so than people who don't like games on the computer might be less likely to play games with their friends and so forth.
Yeah, I love what you said just now about how, now if somebody can physically pick a lock, they have the knowledge, the ability, and the confidence to say, hey, I can get into places that maybe I shouldn't be. And that would help me in my career as a cyber professional to learn to think like a bad guy in order to build a better lock to keep them out.
That's also true, but I don't think that's a psychological factor that we're talking about.
Mm.
It's more about I have a power that you don't.
Mm.
The nefarious, we all have that, if you will, for lack of a better term, we all have that negative side
Sure.
that, I can get away with this because I'm smarter, and let's face it, this is a very intelligent group of people. So there are, I would say it's a big majority of more intelligent people feel that they can use their brain to get them in and out of situations that other people might not. And so again, it's a manifestation of that ability, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes, yes. And that's deep, and we could definitely
Yeah.
drill down on that one a little bit more. But I wanted to talk to you, the final question, at least for this podcast, kind of revolves around the ability for folks who have these also ancillary skill sets, and how we talked right before we started recording about how it's a skill set that they learn and they may or may not use, but how it's also applicable to other parts of their career, especially in the cyber space. So if you wanted to tell us a little bit more about how those two are connected, that'd be great.
Well, there is no such thing as security.
Hmm.
Going back to basics, as a general contractor and earlier on a journeyman carpenter, I can walk through a door without a key faster than you can with a key. All I have to do is walk up with a pry bar and just open the door. Now, and yet people put 3, 4, 5 locks on their door. Well, that bar is going to split the jam. So how much good did it do? It just makes more noise when the door jamb falls on the floor. But it's a state of mind.
State of mind. Interesting. Yeah.
It very much so. And we have a lot of laws. As I said earlier, it's a felony to possess lock picking tools, and I hope nobody bothers to try and get me arrested because I didn't bring any tools, and I don't right at the moment have any tools. Although hairpins work quite well. But
we'll talk about that offline.
Yeah. But no, it's a state of thinking. And when you realize that security is really an image, and you're controlling that, and which has to be backed up with some degrees of facts, because the simple fact that you have a lock on your window means that somebody has to commit a felony to break in through that window. So that's a pretty strong argument for not breaking a window.
Right.
Okay. But at the same time, if I can walk into any building without a key, or almost any meeting, with simple hand tools, what is real security? So it's a very delicate balance in society between the physical facts and the image that we carry
and present to others as well as ourselves in some cases.
All the way around. Yeah. I don't suggest that you point out to your wife that you can walk in, anybody can walk in this house anytime they want, and I can't stop them. Which is a logic that some people use for owning guns that they don't know how to use. But at the same time, I'm not trying to argue the gun standpoint, but a gun is perfectly safe if you know how to use it. because part of knowing how to use it is being very safe with a gun. It's all the same image. There's a lot of emotion with breaking in a window or pulling a gun or whatever, but we don't live in that world. We're aware of it, and our fears and our thoughts and feelings about it are what keeps us as balanced human beings.
In live in this society,
yeah.
right?
Semi-civilized.
And I feel like this is an excellent path of the story that, again, is applicable to not only the real world, but also the cyber world that we all live in, and the purpose for us being here at the Pacific Hackers Conference this weekend. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate that. All right.
Yeah, pleasure talking.
Bang. I'm going to stop that. I really do appreciate your time. Thank you for watching the Cyber Pro podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on new podcasts and bonus content.